Okay, we just won the Stanley Cup, and the guy who we're paying $4.8 million a year to be on this team did not play a single playoff game. How the heck did we get here? And I got to tell you the story because it's one of the wildest stories. It starts with a $20 signing bonus, and I think, to be honest, one of the pettiest moves in NHL history, and that cuts both ways. So let's start in 2019. Sebastian Aho, we know who he is, right? All right, he was a restricted free agent. I think he was about 21 years old, and he had put up 83 points. It was like his breakout time as a Carolina Hurricane. We were obviously going to sign him to a long-term deal. Everybody in the league expected the same thing, but on July 1st, 2019, Montreal, the Habs, the Canadiens, did something that I don't think anybody saw coming at the time. They tendered Aho a 5-year, $42.7 million offer sheet. For those who don't remember, an offer sheet is when one team makes a contract offer directly to another team's restricted free agent. The player's current team then has 7 days to match it. If you don't, the player leaves and the team gets draft picks as compensation. So offer sheets almost never happen in the NHL. They're actually considered like a violation of unwritten rules between general managers. So there's kind of like a an old club going on here between general managers, and they kind of have this silent agreement where you don't poach other teams' young stars. It's just not done. Montreal did it anyway. And so 6 days later, Carolina matched. They kept Aho, but the message for Montreal was clear. We tried to steal your best young player. And Don Waddell did not forget. It wasn't Eric Tulsky yet. Don Waddell was our GM then. So fast forward to August of 2021, 2 years later. Montreal had a restricted free agent of their own. You guessed it, it was Kotkaniemi. So third overall pick, as a reminder, in the 2018 draft, same draft class as Svechnikov, who Carolina took second overall. So, in fact, Waddell and the Hurricanes, we were very familiar with Kotkaniemi, right? And because we had looked extensively in that draft with such a high pick, we knew him well. Kotkaniemi was coming off a decent playoff run with Montreal. I think 5 goals and 8 points in 19 games as the Canadiens made the Stanley Cup final. His regular season was more modest. He only had 20 points in 56 games, but he was 21 years old. He was a former top three pick and technically available if someone was willing to be aggressive. Don Waddell was willing. So on August 28th, 2021, the Hurricanes sent him an offer sheet to Kotkaniemi. 1 year, $6.1 million offer sheet. $6 million for a player who put up 20 points the year before. If Montreal didn't match within 7 days, right? That's how it works. Kotkaniemi would become a Hurricane, and we had to send Montreal a 2022 first round pick, 2022 third round pick as compensation. But here's where the story gets even pettier and crazier than you probably realize. The contract was for $6 million, $100,015. And then we gave this crazy signing bonus. Do you know what it was? $20. $20. That's I'm not misspeaking. Carolina literally gave Kotkaniemi a $20 signing bonus. Why? Because Sebastian Aho wears jersey number 20. The entire NHL, the entire fan base, we saw the joke immediately, right? Don Waddell had spent 2 years waiting for this moment. When the opportunity came, he didn't just sign Kotkaniemi to an offer sheet. He designed the contract to specifically mock the number of the player Montreal had tried to steal from our franchise. So when he was asked about it, Waddell said like, "Oh, this is certainly not revenge or anything like that." Right? He explained that Carolina had, used the collective bargaining agreement as other teams have in the past. What is he saying? Right? We know what he's exactly saying. That's the entire point. Montreal had 7 days to match the offer sheet, and they passed. So in September, Kotkaniemi officially became a Carolina Hurricane. Montreal got a first and a third round pick, and we got our revenge, right? Now, here's where I think the story stops being funny. And it's why you really got to have some maturity and thoughtfulness when you're running the show, right? And I'm not saying Don Waddell didn't do good things. And like, I get the desire for revenge, I guess. But that 1 year, $6.1 million deal, that was just kind of the beginning. It was designed to expire after one season. So we could re-sign Kotkaniemi for a long-term extension at a more reasonable number. So in the summer of 22, after his first season as a Carolina Hurricane, Waddell did exactly that. He signed Kotkaniemi to an 8-year contract worth $38.56 million, $4.82 million per year through the 2029-2030 season. So that's 8 years for a 22-year-old who put up 29 points in his first season in Carolina, playing mostly as a wing. I think he was like playing as a winger on the second line. So at that time, the deal looked probably defensible, I guess. If he developed really well, 4.8 million would probably look like a bargain, but he didn't, right? Let's be honest. So that's the origin story. The offer sheet was kind of petty revenge, right? We might have thought it was funny at the time, but Montreal declined. We got our guy, and the entire hockey world kind of watched as Don Waddell got to troll the Canadiens with a $20 signing bonus. I much more like it when we beat them in the Eastern Conference Finals, but the extension that followed, that extension is kind of now a completely different story because that contract has become the single biggest problem on the Carolina Hurricanes roster right now, in my opinion. And I don't say that lightly. That's the next video. So if you're a Caniac, hit subscribe. Let's break this all down together. And let me know what you think in the comments. We can hash this out a little bit more, but stay tuned. Catch this next video.